Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC on ABC2, Vettori versus Holland. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first fight on the prelims. So in our first fight, we have in the welterweight division, Kasanganay versus Sasha Palatnikov. And how I see this one right here is I really didn't like Palatnikov is a solid fighter. I definitely underestimated him in his fight against Louis Cozy, but he still got touched up by a shorter man who isn't the most polished striker and kind of a little bit raw on the feet in a way. I'm not saying he's an amateur or anything, Cozy is, but definitely not where Kasanganay is. And Kasanganay is definitely not giving him as much height or reach, and is coming down from middleweight to welterweight, so he'll be the stronger man, had a little bit more pop in his punches, maybe a little bit slower, but I just think Kasanganay is more tighter with his striking. Like he's shorter on his shots, clean with his defense. That might a lot of times prevent him from getting as many finishes as a fighter that's more offensive and less, let the guard down a little bit and just, goes for the finish more. Whereas Kasanganay is a fighter that's gonna be tight, clean, and feel the fight out and not force anything. And I feel like Palatnikov is not like a super aggressive fighter. He's clean and solid too, but he does hang his chin up a lot of times. He does drop his hands a lot, especially when people enter the pocket for whatever reason. He does got some defensive deficiencies. And I feel like Kasanganay will be able to take advantage of, like being the shorter on the strikes. And I don't think Palatnikov has the best chin, definitely not the worst, but so I feel like Kasanganay is going to crack him, definitely has the power coming down and be able to find those pockets and crack Palatnikov on the inside, especially when he's getting on the inside and Palatnikov starts to drop those hands, and I think he puts him out there in the second round. So in this fight, I have Kasanganay via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Jung versus William Knight. And I see this one right here. Jung is the much taller fighter. I think he was like 6'3" versus like a 5'10", maybe really 5'9" William Knight. But yes, he has the height. I think he is the better striker, or at least the more dangerous striker has proven himself to be. But I do worry about his takedown defense, worry about his grappling a little bit. I haven't really seen too much of that, especially at night at the highest level. And what I have seen, I wasn't super impressed with. And also when he's pushed in tough situations, I haven't really liked what I've seen from him for the most part. Maybe the case in Bragmont fight, because that was a tough situation, but that was a fight that should never had to even have like that early start where he was getting flurried on. But either way, I just think William Knight has had that experience in his background, especially from the amateur background. And I think he's for a better competition than between the two. And I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. He's awkward and unique in his takedowns, unique in his approach. I just think he'll find a way to set the takedowns up, be able to latch on to Jung, get up underneath him, wear on him, and start to drain on him, come over the top, batter the lead leg. He does got some heavy leg kicks, so take away the power, so Jung can't really plant. And that's really Jung's main advantage, is his height, his reach, and the fact that he has that power. And William Knight doesn't move his head the best, so that's the path for Jung to win. Be able to just find it down the middle and crack William Knight. He's the shorter man trying to come in, and that's like a very highly likely outcome or path to victory that can be very high likely outcome or a decent outcome, but I'm going to lean to William Knight to be able to get up underneath him, frustrate him, kick out his lead leg, score takedowns, and control him on the ground, wear on him, and take away that power and beat him to a decision. So in this one, I have William Knight via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Louis Saldana versus Jordan Griffin. So right now, Saldana is a favorite, or at least last I checked. But when I look at him, I see a fighter that's just a striker. I mean, he might got one or two takedowns here and there, and you might look at his Contender Series fight and the fight that he fought a Team Alpha Male fighter, but that guy has some almost life-ending, career-ending illness or something, or condition. And he was shorter, and then he was inactive for a while. And there's a lot of different things to go in that fight. And even outside that, he's been fighting like some bums really his whole career. And Jordan Griffin has fought some stellar competition and beaten some stellar competition. And he's more well-rounded. And when I look at Saldana, I look at a lot of his fights where it was either a close fight or fights he lost, it was because of wrestling. He's a striker. He's a one-dimensional fighter for the most part. And Griffin is not. And it's not like Griffin's this guy that's a mediocre wrestler, grappler who has zero striking. Jordan Griffin's striking is solid. We look at most of his losses in the UFC, it's been the grappling and not striking. So he's a good striker. Is he one of the best strikers in the division? Not at all, but he definitely, I say, could probably hold his own with anyone outside the top 10, top 15 in the striking and beat most of them. So I feel like he can definitely hold his own with Saldana. Might even be able to outstrike Saldana. I feel like Saldana is kind of falls into the same patterns on his feet, like because he's been fighting mediocre competition, so you could get away with having him, a pattern that bad. But to get to the point is, I just feel like Griffin's the more well-rounded fighter. He can hold his own with Saldana on his feet, and he can hold a pretty relentless pace and mix in the takedowns. And I think Jordan Griffin is able to take him down, keep weighing on, keep pressuring him, and break him down. And I think he beats him to a decision. So in this one, I have Jordan Griffin via decision. Now on to our next fight. We have in the bantamweight division, Jack Shore versus Hunter Azure. And how I see this one right here is Hunter Azure is definitely the better wrestler as far as pure wrestling, a very accomplished wrestler, but a very raw talent. I don't know if he'll ever not be a real raw talent or be able to really chisel out all his skills or all of his potential. But striking, like, it was coming along pretty well. Got some good power. Great wrestling background, but I think he could definitely bring it into MMA a little bit more, like, better transfer it over to MMA. I think he's still in that process, but raw power, pure wrestling talent, like true wrestling talent, but hasn't really pulled it over to MMA as good as he can. And that's offensively and defensively and fight IQ wise wrestling, and also mixed in with the BJJ. And I think Jack Shore, definitely not as good of a wrestler as Hunter Azure, but I think he's the much more polished mixed martial artist, definitely on the feet, much cleaner striker, not just loading up on one big shot or relying on power, just like pure clean technique, grappling, changing together very well. Pace could maintain a better pace than Hunter Azure, better fight IQ for fighting. I just think Hunter Azure might come out early, might be able to land a big shot here and there, might be able to get one big takedown, but I really see Jack Shore just really being able to, like I said, set a pace, come with a game plan, stick to his just stick to a game plan, stick to the route, and just see him quickly kind of shift that pace over, start to reverse the takedowns on Azure, start to pepper him up with the jab, and then really just outbox him, and then break him down, and then start to score his own takedowns, and start to dominate this fight in a way. And I see him beating Hunter Azure to a decision. So in this one, I have Jack Shore via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Jurgen De Castro versus Georges Danho. And Danho has not fought in like 100 years, but even for those 100 years, he wasn't a particularly amazing fighter. Now, when coming back, he's going to have evolved anything new that would make him such an amazing fighter. What I see in this fight is a striker versus a grappler. Even though Danho might got some TKO victories on the record, it's pretty much against low tier competition. And at UFC level, he's just a mediocre takedown and ground and pound artist. And De Castro has already shown some pretty solid takedown defense. So I feel like he can neutralize Danho's takedown offense. And really just have an open season on the feet and just pick apart Danho and put him out in the first round. So in this one, I have Jurgen De Castro via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Makdessi versus Ignacio Bahamondes. And I see this one right here is it's like a 7-inch height advantage and like a 6 or 5-inch reach advantage, all on Bahamondes' side, and like a 10-year age advantage, if not more. But I look at Makdessi, I think Bahamondes has definitely fought a lot of bums. He's another guy that's just, going to build up this off beating straight up cans and, make him look better than he is. But the fact that he fighting Makdessi is going to allow him to look a little bit better, but still, it's going to be a very tight fight. I don't think he stops Makdessi at all. I think this is a very tight, close matchup. I think the real reason that he wins is, like I said, youth, height, reach, and styles. The fact that Makdessi not really a fighter that's super pressed. I mean, at times he will press and go for the knockout, but he hasn't been the most active. He's getting up there in age, so he don't press as much as he used to at times. And I feel like he's going to be more comfortable to try to have a kicking battle on outside and play chess. And this fact that Bahamondes is so much taller, that's going to allow him to have better success in that distance. The fact that he's younger, fights at a higher pace. Makdessi might actually outstrike him, might actually be the cleaner striker. I mean, he is a better striker, by far the better striker. He is the cleaner striker, by far the cleaner striker. But even in the last fight, he outlanded Trinaldo by like 10 strikes, but Trinaldo's more aggressive. So his strikes were favored over Makdessi. I think it is. So I feel like this one probably similar, but the fact that Bahamondes is more aggressive, he's more active. Even though he might not be landing, he might land shots that look harder. He might be throwing more shots, and this fact that they're touching and doing stuff, and he's more active, he's going to win the fight. It's going to be a case of Makdessi being the cleaner, more technical striker, more experienced striker, but only keeping it to striking. So you got a case of it's a mixed martial arts fight, but there's only one discipline that's striking, or one area of the game that's striking. And you got a guy that's really kind of one-dimensional at this point in Bahamondes and hasn't really faced anybody that can, as far as in the UFC, that can really embarrass this guy on the ground, which like 90% of this division will embarrass this dude. Well, I'm exaggerating. I'm just talking, but a good bit of people that have any bit of good offensive wrestling would put this guy in, or offensive jiu-jitsu or offensive judo would embarrass this guy in ways. We got Makdessi, who's been around the game, probably could beat some of those guys, but he's only going to use one art. He himself is only evolved to defend against those guys, but not really offensively use those skills too much. I think in the UFC, only went for one takedown and didn't even score it. But either way, I'm going with this one. Longer, taller, younger, not as technical, but will be more active. Will have a huge height and reach advantage. And the judges are going to favor this activity over clean technique. This is MMA. This isn't pure striking sport where like boxing. Even in boxing, they get it wrong a lot of times. And even in kickboxing, they get it wrong a lot of times. But in MMA, they definitely, you're going to be like Leonard Garcia landing arm punches, and they'll favor you over a guy that's landing all clean contact shots, like 15 to like 30 shots. The other guy only landed really 5 clean shots, but he landed like all arm shots. And I'm talking about like Leonard Garcia by like Nan Pham 1 or something. But dragging this one on. Either way, I see it. Bahamondes being able to outstrike this, outwork in a way Makdessi, but Makdessi being able to outstrike Bahamondes, and the judges favoring activity over clean contact. So in this one, I have Ignacio Bahamondes via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's bantamweight division, Norma Dumont versus Erin Blanchfield. And how I see this right here is Blanchfield isn't much shorter, or I think she might have a slight reach advantage over Dumont, but Dumont was at one time at 145, and she was thick. Like, she's still thick, but she lost a little bit of that booty coming down to bantamweight. But she's still a much bigger fighter than Blanchfield, even though like height and reaches and all that difference. But she was a filled out pretty decent size 145, and she kind of carried that weight down to 135. So she's definitely the thicker of the two, stronger of the two. Blanchfield really could have been like, I feel like she really could have been strawweight, but yeah, here she is at flyweight. Like I said, height and reach isn't that different, but thickness is definitely far on Dumont's side, coming from 145 to 135. Whereas I feel like, matter of fact, Blanchfield was at 125, and I feel like she could be at 115. So I really feel like there's like a two weight class disadvantage for Blanchfield. Blanchfield definitely got some good technique, but I don't feel like her striking is that polished. And I feel like Dumont is in the case of a fighter that has poor grappling. Like, she has some pretty decent underrated wrestling, some solid jiu-jitsu, and I think at first she probably was a jiu-jitsu fighter. So I feel like Blanchfield gonna have issues in this fight. I just think Dumont is the more well-rounded fighter. I think grappling can neutralize or relatively neutralize each other out, and I feel like Dumont can control the grappling as far as when the fight goes to the ground, not being the stronger fighter, and technique being around similar levels. Then on feet, Dumont, I think, a much more polished striker, and definitely a much heavier hitting striker, much more dangerous striking. And I just think she's able to stuff the takedown to Blanchfield, maybe score a takedown of her own against Blanchfield, or take it on, or 2 or 3 against Blanchfield. Get some control time there. Blanchfield definitely active for her back, but I feel like she can neutralize the submissions of Blanchfield. She has skills and experience to do that. Then on the feet, just land that, be the heavier landing striker. Even if Blanchfield might be landing a little bit more, Dumont's definitely going to be clearly the one landing if she's not outstriking her 2 or landing her 2, she's definitely be the one landing the heavier shots, the more telling shots in this one that the judge is going to receive more. Now I pretty much see her shutting her out on a scorecard. So in this one, I have Norma Dumont via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Scott Holtzman versus Mateusz Gamrot. And how I see this one right here, Scott Holtzman, at one point he was a pretty high, mixed martial artist, and now he's kind of fallen to really a striker. He will mix in some grappling, but in the past he might go for like 7 or 10 or 15 takedowns, but dude's like 37 now, and that was in the past. So he might go for about 5 takedowns maximum in the fight now. So he's kind of fallen into a more one-dimensional pattern. I do think he's the better striker. Some people might say, oh, Gamrot's more fluid, more fast, and he's younger, so that definitely comes with that. But Scott Holtzman, I would still give him an edge in the strike. I'm not going to give him an edge by a mile, but I give him an edge by an inch or 2, and definitely a power advantage on the feet. So relatively, he's the better striker, or the more dangerous striker in this one. But I think what it really comes down to is Gamrot can definitely mix it up real well. He's a fighter that will mix it up. And I feel like Scott Holtzman can defend a couple of takedowns, but Gamrot, he's relentless with his pace, young in his prime, relentless with his pace, and he's going to mix it up. And he can go for like 10, 15, 20 takedowns, and he's going to be active, whereas Scott Holtzman, like I said, pushing 40, kind of like, drew back his skill set a little bit, just to work on where you can't do what you did when you were 30 or 31 or 32 or 28, 29, but you can, fight to your age in a way. That's where I feel like Scott Holtzman is right now. He's always been like a middle tier fighter, and now he's just a middle tier fighter that's, a little bit more experienced, but not as young, not as fresh, not in his prime, and doing what he can. And I feel like Gamrot can simply just outwork him, be relentless with the takedowns, probably slam some kicks to his body, throw some overhands, stick the jab moving, just keep him looking, keep him guessing, and keep him working, keep him reacting, and just really start to break him down just by his pace and be able to grind out a decision. Like first round probably be tight, but the second round, Holtzman start to slow down, start to wear down. Third round, really have him worn down, start to court takedowns, take his back, and start to control him and drain him out to a decision. So in this one, I have Mateusz Gamrot via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Jim Miller versus Joe Solecki. And how I see this one right here is Jim Miller, another case of a fighter that's definitely getting up there in age and can't really pace it that much. Like the Vince Pichel fight came out strong early. And then Vince Pichel, even though Vince Pichel isn't the youngest guy, Vince Pichel just doesn't have the wear and tear that Jim Miller has. So Jim Miller has 50 fights basically, probably more, probably many gyms. He's a coach as well, so a lot of time and a lot of stuff spent on his body. So you got a guy that's, as the fight goes on, he can't really maintain that high pace like he used to, and he might say you're wrong to that, but that's what I've been saying. Like you can't maintain that pace. And you got a young fresh guy like Joe Solecki, high pace grappler. I see like Jim Miller the more well-rounded fighter, but all relative. I feel like Joe Solecki gonna know to not play too much in the striking and just be relentless with the grappling. Like I said, Jim Miller's a high-level grappler as well, but Joe Solecki's young, active, aggressive. I feel like he's gonna be able to break Jim Miller down, take him late, and still even early have success with the takedowns. And Jim Miller's takedown defense hasn't really been phenomenal. Like he really lost. I'm not saying Diego Sanchez is a bad fighter, but he lost. And Diego Sanchez was a state champion wrestler, so you gotta give Diego Sanchez his props. But I feel like Joe Solecki could find the same success in wrestling and take Jim Miller down and be able to control him, be able to work on him. I feel like Jim Miller will have some good responses early, but it's to be a case of pacing and the fact that Solecki can fight at a higher pace, faster transitions, slicker, younger, faster, less worn, and just really be able to grind out a decision over Jim Miller. I don't think he stops him, but I do think he's able to just really neutralize him, put on his back, and put him on the defensive and win a decision based off that. So in this one, I have Joe Solecki via decision. Now to our next fight, we have the next fight we have our first fight on the main card in the lightweight, in the welterweight division, Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. With this one, I think even without Mike Perry's current questionable mental state, I just think Daniel Rodriguez is the better, cleaner, the more cleaner technical boxer. Mike Perry does have his moments, and he gave him some pretty solid guys some tough work here and there, but I just think Rodriguez is better in that area. I might give Perry the wrestling advantage, but jiu-jitsu I give to Rodriguez. Boxing I give to Rodriguez. Experience might probably get it to Mike Perry because he's been in with some tough guys, but I just really think, along with his mental state not being the best, all running to glass and knocking out old men and dating barely legal girls and having them coach him, I think outside of those things, even then Rodriguez already had a boxing advantage, already had a jiu-jitsu advantage, and now even more so. And look at his last fight against Tim Means, he was all eating burgers and chicken sandwiches and whatever, and just looking for a way out and looking for an excuse to say, oh, this is why I lost. I don't think it was just him trying to saying I'm just so good I could eat this and still beat you. I think it was a case of he knew Tim Means was a bad matchup for him, or it was a fight he could definitely lose, and he was just trying to find a way to make an excuse for a future loss, or if he did lose. And I think this fight, maybe not looking for an excuse, but it's a case where I think Rodriguez is going to be able to pepper him up with a jab, land it straight, come around with hooks, and just be the clean technical fighter and walk Perry into punches. Then when Perry gets over aggressive, try to go for takedowns, threaten with a front choke or a guillotine, and then use that to take control of the position. And just go back to peppering Perry up, landing big shots. Might even drop him, but Perry got a tough chin. He's got a lot of heart. So I see this one going to decision, but I think Daniel Rodriguez is fully in the driver's seat from start to finish. And I see him beating Perry via decision. So in this one, I have Daniel Rodriguez via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Nina Ansaroff versus Mackenzie Dern. And how I see this right, Ansaroff is clearly the better striker, but it's got this feeling like Dern, even though she's the cleanest striker, And a lot of people cite stuff like she's just such a great beauty for women's MMA and this and that. She does fight like a dog and stuff. Like her striking might not be the prettiest, but she will go out there. She will throw hands. As we saw in the fight with Johnny Rowe. But Johnny Rowe was a much cleaner striker than her with a broken nose with like a Muay Thai knee or elbow or something. But still kept coming and was relentless. And that's why she won the fight. Was she the cleaner technical fighter? No, but she was the more active fighter, and that activity got her decision. She might not be the clean striker. She might not have been able to get a takedown, but she went for it. Didn't get no takedowns. Didn't really land no clean strikes, but she landed more strikes, and she was more active. And I feel like that might be the case against Ansaroff. Even though Ansaroff's even a far more cleaner striker than Johnny Rowe and Dern put together, really. But Ansaroff, this is her first fight since having a baby, and now she's coming back and fighting a top opponent. Even though the top opponent might not be, stylistically might be a matchup for her, but even stylistically, like I said, Dern is a fighter that, her takedown, she relies so much on her BJJ, and her takedown offense is mediocre, beyond mediocre, with like 25%. Yeah, beyond mediocre. You're going to get fight Ansaroff with ever-proven takedown defense and solid striking. You got to worry about Dern. But again, I'm saying all this, like, I feel like Dern might be able to pull out another one just by activity, or Ansaroff might lose a step or two from having a baby, being active, and maybe saying Amanda Nunes do all this stuff and realize she don't got to do nothing in this fight. I don't know what her motivation is, but I'm going to lean off style-wise and not lean off too much off what happened outside the cage, even though that's a big factor. Dern's takedown offense is mediocre. Ansaroff has solid takedown defense. And should be able to stuff her takedown with relative ease. And I see her being able to pick apart Dern on the feet and make her look like she's fighting in slow-mo, really. And just make her look stiff, make her look slow, and beat her to a decision. So in this one, I have Nina Ansaroff via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Sam Alvey versus Julian Marquez. And this is really a good style matchup for Sam Alvey, as Julian Marquez isn't the most technical fighter. I mean, he did show some decent grappling in his last fight and some good fight IQ and good heart, and stayed looking for what he saw in the fight and was able to get it, like Hail Mary with Darce or guillotine, some type of choke, like front choke, but stayed to the path in a way. He had some good setups for that submission even early on, like really all throughout that fight, and was able to finally set it up in the third round and get it. But yeah, but definitely a fighter that isn't afraid to like stand and bang. We haven't really seen too much of a good fight IQ as far as on the feet. He did show some good grappling fight IQ, but I don't think his grappling will be a big factor against Alvey, who, I mean, he might still be able to get a submission against Alvey if he hurts him, but Sam Alvey has some phenomenal takedown defense. Can get back to his feet. Hard to take him down, even harder to hold him down. So Sam Alvey definitely don't really see this fight going to the ground on his end as far as getting him taken down. And I don't see Sam Alvey really going for takedowns. He don't really use his takedown offensively very often, so I don't see that happening. So I see this as a striking matchup. Sam Alvey is the slightly more technical fighter, good counter fighter at times. At times, that's a very good thing for it. But what I really more see in this one, that Sam Alvey, he's not good enough to be, in my opinion, to try to rely so much on counter punching. He's not. You're not really so what you could like categorize as a world class striker, and definitely not a world class counterer, but that's what you choose to be, and that's why he has 14 losses. That's why. And hasn't really accomplished much in his career. But I mean, he's been around. He's good. He's solid. Got some power. Got some chin, and that can keep you around. That can get you fights, especially with a good takedown defense. But I think in this case, it's going to be Julian Marquez simply going to outwork him. And at this point, and really any point, Sam Alvey was never a reliable commodity. So I just think in this case, Sam Alvey does have a good opportunity, but he's not a guy you can trust. And I think Julian Marquez is going to be the one pressing for it, be the one being aggressive. And Marquez got a good chin on himself. So I feel like he's going to catch him counters, but that's not going to be a case where he's going to be like one of these guys like Jung or Ryan Spann, who's going to get so intimidated by his counter that they're going to freeze up. He's going to trace shots, maybe slip a couple, take a couple, and just be in his face, be more active, landing heavy shots of his own, and pressing Alvey backwards. And Alvey's counters probably more often than not going to be off a little bit. And when they do land, they're not going to land flush as they need to be. And Marquez is simply going to be the more aggressive, more active fighter. And I think he, this might be fight of night, and just simply just be the more active, more aggressive fighter. Probably land the bigger shots and land more shots. In almost kind of a phone booth type fight with Marquez getting the decision for, like I said, for more activity, probably more power, more consistency, higher pace. And Sam Alvey kind of looking for those counters within that chaos. So in this one, I have Julian Marquez via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Alex Schaub, Khriziev versus Cal Daukaus. I'll see this one right here. Khriziev is like 5'9", very short for the weight class, and not filled out, so that's very questionable. But and Cal Daukaus is 6'3", and I feel like he does have a decent style for this one. But I think Khriziev's background in sambo is just, and his the skills that come with that are going to allow him to beat Daukaus, in my opinion. I feel like he'll be able to still be, he's a smaller fighter, will be able to control the wrestling, control the clinch when they lock up. I'll get Daukaus a clear BJJ advantage, but I feel like Khriziev will be able to control when the fight goes to the ground. I think he's a much faster, fluid striker. And Daukaus has been questionable at times, and he likes to try to, keep the fight tight now and like not let it be at space too much, or striking to really extend itself too long or play out too long because, he can get touched up. But I feel like Khriziev will be able to control the striking. Control the striking range, and on the clinch range, be the better man in the clinch and the better man as far as takedowns, offensively control. And on the ground, I feel like he can neutralize a lot of Daukaus, at least as far as keeping Daukaus on his back and not relying on Daukaus to get a top position. I don't think he stops Daukaus, but I do think he's able to, like I said, stuff to take the takedowns, control the clinch, and control the striking distance, and control the pace, control the tempo, be faster, be more fluid. Definitely got some real fluid kicks. Be the dodos up top, come around with hooks, move, score takedowns, and grind a decision over Cal Daukaus. So in this one, I have Aliskov Khriziev via decision. Now to our co-main event, we have in the featherweight division, Arnold Allen versus Sodiq Yusuff. And how I see this right here is, I think Allen's a little bit more polished in a way where he's like at least more clean, more textbook in a way. Like he's more defensively sound and offensively sound as far as all together. I was like, Sodiq Yusuff, the bigger, like definitely going to be the much more filled out, bigger fighter. It's not like he's so vertically tall or so vertically long in reach or height. Like kind of almost identical height and reach. But Yusuff is more filled out, more dense by a significant bit. Faster, heavy hitting hands, much better offense, bigger threat. But at times, he's most vulnerable when he's aggressive. Like he'll give up takedowns, but he gets hard to take down. Hard to control. He's kind of easy to take down in my opinion. So far, has shown to be a little bit easy to take down, at least by a decent fighter with decent wrestling background or decent wrestling skills. But offensively is when he's most vulnerable, like because he'll get overzealous and will come over and then he'll be set up and get clipped. And he got clipped in his last two fights. Get overzealous and come forward and just get worried too caught up in his offense that he forgets about his defense. That allows him to get taken down at times and allow him to get clipped at times. That's a concern. And but yeah, to get to the point of this one, I think like I said, he does got those things, and Allen could fight to a smart fight, just be defensively sound, land his offense, and look for opportunities, score takedowns, and just win a points fight. I think that would be the smartest decision for Allen. I think he'll look for it. But I'm going to lean to Yusuff in this one to be at a batter lead leg of Allen, as Allen leans over a lot. Probably does some front kicks, probably lands some knees to his body. Like Allen leans heavily on that lead leg, and Yusuff got some dynamite in those kicks, and we had to batter that lead leg and almost leave it unusable with the way that Allen leans on it. And then from there, be able to pick apart Allen on the feet, be faster, be sharper, at least offensively. Still going to be some defensive holes, but I don't think Allen has the power to really capitalize too much. But it's never all about power. It's about timing, landing on the spot. But I don't feel like he'll be able to land that super clean shot to really do damage to Yusuff. And I feel like Yusuff will be able to do more damage to that lead leg that will be out there. And then from there, start to batter him to the body, batter him up top. I don't think he stops Allen. And I think this is a very tight fight. I think Allen's able to score takedowns. I think he's able to make it close. But I think Yusuff's able to, the damage he does to the leg, in the body, is able to wear Allen down. And then from there, Yusuff's able to take it over. Really from, I guess, first round probably tight. Probably still go to Yusuff. Second round, Yusuff's early on damage starts to play effect. Third round, Yusuff starts to run away. Probably almost get close to stoppage in that third round. But I think Allen's able to make it to a decision. And Yusuff's able to get that decision victory. So in this one, I have Sodiq Yusuff via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. And how I see this one right here is Holland's coming off a loss to Brunson, coming into this fight on short notice. Takedown defense really has never been the best. He has some solid jiu-jitsu, so at times he's able to get reverse positions or threaten with submissions. But didn't look the best in this fight against Dern Stewart. For a guy who really gets out-wrestled, out-grappled by literally almost everyone. And we gave up a whole round basically to him as far as top control. Got out-wrestled by that guy. in a 3-round fight, not like it was a 5-round fight. So kind of a little bit of embarrassing. Jacare was taking him down with ease, but got too comfortable, sitting up, trying to play jiu-jitsu, trying to play positions, and Kevin Holland took advantage of that and knocked him out from an unorthodox position. And against Brunson, a wrestler, Brunson had moments where he was tired and like he had no super amazing game plan, but Brunson was able to take him down, just apply pressure, not sit back, and was able to wrestle with him and control him relatively easy. You got a guy like Vettori, definitely not the wrestler that Brunson is, but Vettori has some pretty solid offensive wrestling as well and is ever evolving in that. And then he has by far better jiu-jitsu than Brunson. And I think between the two, I actually would say Vettori overall is the cleaner grappler between like more polished grappler. I think Holland has his moments. He's more orthodox. He's more creative. But Vettori more textbook and like more clean with the jiu-jitsu and like I said, more polished in a way. Holland's like unorthodox, but I feel like Vettori's more polished, more clean, more traditional, sets his stuff up better and sticks to it. Definitely much better base. Holland be letting like everybody just roll them over like they're roly-poly-olies. Vettori actually got a good solid base, and Holland don't have that. He's all loosey-goosey. Like he can have a mount and end up getting mounted in like 2 seconds. Vettori actually can take you down, control you, and have a position not going to be getting reversed, or definitely not getting reversed as drastically as Holland can. Like I said, Holland can literally have a mount or mounted triangle, and then 2 seconds later he be mounted triangle, or somebody have his back. Like I don't know how that works. Like Holland is, and he can do that kind of thing with other people, maybe lower tier people like Merchart. But Vettori is too big, strong, and base is too good, jiu-jitsu too good. He's not be a guy that's going to be reversing position with him. Vettori can literally go out there and I feel score takedowns Holland. Now, I do think Holland will be more aggressive with his striking and trying to not give up takedowns as much and be more present and a little bit less talking in this one. But probably still a lot of talking, but less talking in this one. But that's just going to allow Vettori to still be able to set. I think Vettori is more polished, more well-rounded fighter. And definitely, I say, give him a jiu-jitsu edge and definitely fight IQ edge and of by far 100 times better base. He's not guys going to be rolling all around so easily in this one. So when he get takedowns, I feel like he'll be able to control him. Holland will be trying to get back to his feet, but Vettori will be able to control him, pepper him up as he talks and really force Holland to make mistakes and start laying heavy shots on Holland. When Holland starts to really open that mouth up, then Holland's going to react to that and start trying to, make defensive mistakes. But over the course of the fight, Vettori's going to start to break him down, get him to make a mistake, take his back, and I think he taps him out in that 3rd round. So in this one, I have Marvin Vettori via 3rd round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of UFC on ABC 2, Vettori versus Holland. And as always, thanks for watching.